lovers and treasure hunters. Today we're going on a deep journey through history, value, and hidden rarity as we uncover 13 incredible coins that could be sitting in your pocket change right now. From the classic 1974 Washington quarter to the modern 2020 Washington quarter, from legendary wheat pennies like the 1941 and 1951 to Lincoln Memorial and Shield cents of the 1970s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s. Every single coin we cover has a story to tell, and some of them are worth far more than you could ever imagine. We'll explore minting history, rare errors, proof issues, auction records, and what collectors are paying today. So stay tuned, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for in your own change, and one coin could turn out to be a hidden fortune. The 1996 D Lincoln penny was struck at the Denver Mint, and the little D mint mark right below the date tells you that. This coin is part of the Lincoln Memorial series, which ran from 1959 all the way to 2008 before being replaced by the Shield reverse in 2010. On the obverse, you have Victor David Brenner's famous portrait of Abraham Lincoln, introduced way back in 1909 for the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Think about that. Brenner's design has lasted for more than a century, making it the longest-running portrait on any U.S. coin. On the reverse, we have Frank Gasparo's Lincoln Memorial design, introduced in 1959 to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. One neat detail that many people don't notice is that if you look closely inside the memorial between the columns, you can actually see the statue of Lincoln. That means the 1996 D penny shows Lincoln on both sides, once as a portrait and once as a statue. Very few coins in the world feature the same person on both sides, and this is one of them. Now, let's talk about composition. By 1996, the U.S. Mint had long abandoned the traditional bronze cents that were used from 1909 through most of 1982. Because of rising copper prices, the Mint switched to a cheaper copper-plated zinc planchet in late 1982. So the 1996 D cent is composed of 97.5% zinc with a thin 2.5% copper plating. It weighs just 2.5 grams, compared to the older bronze pennies that weighed 3.11 grams. For collectors, this change was controversial because zinc cents are notorious for developing spots, bubbles, and corrosion if stored improperly. That's why finding pristine, red, unspotted 1996 D pennies is not as easy as it sounds. Mintage numbers for this coin are massive. The Denver Mint struck over 6.5 billion 1996 D pennies. Yes, billions with a B. That makes it one of the most common pennies of the modern era. Because of that, circulated examples are worth only face value, 1 cent. But here's the key. Condition is everything in coin collecting. While billions were made, only a tiny fraction survive in flawless mint state condition with full red color, no spots, and no marks. Those are the coins that collectors will pay a premium for. Let's get into grading. In average circulated condition, the coin is worth just 1 cent. In uncirculated grades like MS63 or MS64 red, it might bring $1 to $2. At MS65 red, it can bring $5 to $10. At MS66 red, you're looking at $20 to $40. But when you get to MS67 red, now you're into scarce territory. Those coins can sell for $75 to $150. The real money comes at MS68 red, which is incredibly tough to find because of the zinc planchets. A PCGS-graded MS68 red 1996 D penny has sold for over $500 at auction. That shows you the power of condition rarity. Even for a coin that billions were minted, a few pristine survivors are worth hundreds. Now let's dive into errors and varieties. The 1996 D penny has a known doubled die reverse, or DDR. On this variety, the doubling can be seen on the words United States of America, e pluribus unum, and even the denomination 1 cent. This isn't a minor case of machine doubling. It's true hub doubling, and it makes the coin more desirable. Depending on condition, a DDR can bring $25 to $200 or more. Collectors also look for repunched mint marks, although they're less dramatic by this date because of the way the mint was changing mint mark application. Other errors that exist on the 1996 D penny include off-center strikes, which can be worth $25 to $100 depending on how far off-center the strike is. Double strikes are another possibility. These are coins that were struck more than once by the press, and dramatic examples can be very valuable. Clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin blank is missing, are also found and can sell for $10 to $50. One of the most common problems you'll see on 1996 D pennies is plating blisters. This happens because the copper plating doesn't always perfectly bond to the zinc core, creating little bubbles on the surface. While not considered collectible errors, they are interesting to study because they reveal the challenges of striking copper-plated zinc coins. Proof coins were not made at Denver, of course, but in 1996 the San Francisco Mint struck proof sets with beautiful mirror-like proof pennies. These carry the S Mint mark and are collectible in their own right. In PR69 Deep Cameo, they might sell for $10 to $20, while perfect PR70 Deep Cameo examples can sell for $50 or more. Now let's talk about the historical context. The year 1996 was a milestone in U.S. coinage because it marked the 50th anniversary of the Roosevelt dime, and the Mint was preparing for big changes with the state quarter program that would launch in 1999. The penny, however, remained unchanged. That's part of what makes modern Lincoln cents interesting. While other denominations were changing designs, the penny carried on with Lincoln's portrait and the memorial reversed. At this point, you might be asking, is it worth saving 1996 D pennies? The answer is yes, but with some conditions. If you come across a coin in circulation, most will not be worth more than 1 cent. But if you find one that is bright red, with no spots, and looks perfect under magnification, it may be worth setting aside. High-grade modern cents are surprisingly tough to find because they get beat up quickly in bags, rolls, and circulation. The best strategy is to search through uncirculated rolls of 1996 D pennies and cherry-pick the best examples. Auction records show just how high values can go. In recent years, MS-68 red examples have sold for $400 to $600. That's hundreds of dollars for a coin you could theoretically find in a bankroll. That's the thrill of modern coin roll hunting. In conclusion, the 1996 D Lincoln penny may not be rare in terms of how many were struck, but in the world of coin collecting, rarity is often about condition and about unusual varieties. In top grades, this coin can be worth hundreds. With the right double die or error, it can bring even more. And as part of the long-running Lincoln Memorial Cent series, it represents an important era of U.S. coinage history. The next time you see a 1996 D penny, don't just think of it as another cent. Think about the billions that were minted, the few that survive in perfect condition, and the chance that your coin might be one of the rare high-grade survivors worth far more than its face value. That's what makes collecting Lincoln cents exciting. The possibility that treasure still hides in plain sight. The 2003 Lincoln penny, a coin that billions of people have seen in everyday pocket change, but one that hides some surprising stories, rare varieties, and values that can reach into the hundreds or even thousands of dollars. At first glance, the 2003 cent looks ordinary. But when you step back and really understand its place in the Lincoln cent series, its composition, and its error varieties, you'll see why collectors continue to hunt for special examples of this modern penny. The 2003 penny belongs to the Lincoln Memorial Cent series, which ran from 1959 all the way to 2008. The obverse design is the same portrait of Abraham Lincoln that Victor David Brenner first created in 1909 in honor of the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. By 2003, this portrait had been on the coin for nearly a century, making it the longest-running portrait in U.S. coinage history. On the reverse is Frank Gasparo's Lincoln Memorial design, a staple since 1959. The reverse is especially interesting because if you look closely with a magnifying glass, you'll see the tiny statue of Abraham Lincoln inside the memorial, making this one of the few coins in the world to depict the same person on both sides. Now let's talk about composition. By 2003, the Mint had long since abandoned the traditional bronze cents of earlier decades. Instead, this coin is made from a planchet composed of 97.5% zinc and just 2.5% copper plating. It weighs 2.5 grams and measures 19 millimeters in diameter. This composition, introduced in 1982, was designed to save costs because rising copper prices made it too expensive to keep producing solid bronze cents. However, the zinc planchets came with challenges. The thin copper plating often developed small bubbles or plating blisters, which can sometimes look like errors to beginners. Now let's move into mintages. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 3.3 billion 2003 pennies without a mint mark, while the Denver Mint produced over 3.5 billion with the D mint mark. That's nearly 7 billion pennies struck in just 1 year, an enormous number, which explains why circulated examples are still everywhere. The San Francisco Mint also produced proof coins, with mirror-like finishes and frosted details, made specifically for collectors. With such high mintages, you might wonder, are 2003 pennies even worth saving? The answer is yes, but only in special cases. Ordinary circulated examples are worth face value, but in pristine mint state condition, they can be surprisingly valuable. For example, an MS-65 red 2003 penny might sell for only $5 to $10. But jump to MS-67 red, and you're looking at $50 to $150. At MS-68 red, the values really skyrocket. Auction records show that a 2003 D penny graded MS-68 red sold for nearly $1,000, and 2003 Philadelphia cents in MS-68 red have reached similar levels. In modern coin collecting, condition rarity is everything. The difference between a $1 coin and a $1,000 coin can be just one grade higher. Now let's get into errors and varieties. The 2003 penny has some fascinating error types that bring huge premiums. One of the most dramatic is the off-center strike. These occur when the blank planchet is not seated correctly in the press, and the design is struck off-center. A 5% off-center strike might only bring $20, but a dramatic 50% off-center strike, where you can still see the date and mint mark, can sell for $200 to $300. Another exciting error is the double strike, where the coin is struck more than once, often at different angles. These are very collectible and can range from $50 to several $100s. The 2003 penny is also known for die cracks, die chips, and plating bubbles. While minor die chips aren't worth much, dramatic die breaks, sometimes called cuds, can bring $25 to $100 depending on size and location. Coins with multiple plating blisters or gas bubbles aren't usually considered valuable errors, but dramatic examples are sometimes saved by collectors. Perhaps the most exciting variety is the 2003 double die reverse. On this variety, strong doubling can be seen on the words United States of America, e pluribus unum, and 1 cent. These double dies are relatively scarce, and depending on grade, they can bring $50 to $500. Proof coins from San Francisco are another area of interest. The 2003 S-proof penny in PR69 Deep Cameo might only sell for $10 to $20, but perfect PR70 Deep Cameo examples can sell for $100 to $200, and sometimes even more. Collectors love proof coins because of their sharp details and mirror-like fields. What makes the 2003 penny especially important is its context in coin history. It was struck just a few years before the Lincoln Memorial Reverse was retired in 2008 and replaced with the Lincoln Bicentennial designs in 2009. So these coins represent the last era of the Memorial Cent, a design that lasted nearly 50 years. Now let's look at some auction highlights. A 2003 Lincoln penny graded MS-68 red by PCGS has sold for $920 at Heritage Auctions. A 2003 D penny in the same grade sold for nearly $1,200. Proof examples in PR70 Deep Cameo often bring around $100, but sometimes they climb higher if only a few are available in that grade. And error coins from 2003, like dramatic off-center strikes, can sell for $200 to $400. That's a massive return for a coin that most people overlook as just another penny. So what should collectors look for? First, always check for condition. A bright red, flawless coin with no spots or marks could be worth sending in for grading. Second, check for doubling on the reverse. That could be a double die worth serious money. Third, keep an eye out for dramatic errors like off-center strikes, double strikes, and cuds. Those coins can bring hundreds. The lesson here is clear. Even modern pennies like the 2003 can be valuable if they're the right coin. While billions were made, only a handful survive in top condition, and only a tiny number feature dramatic errors. That's why coin collecting is so exciting, because the treasure is often hiding in plain sight. So the next time you get change at a store, take a closer look at your pennies. You might just find a 2003 Lincoln cent that isn't worth just 1 cent, but hundreds or even thousands of dollars. The 1977 Lincoln penny may seem like just another small copper coin in American change, but collectors know that this coin carries both history and hidden value. At first glance, it's the same Lincoln Memorial cent we've all seen countless times. But when you dig deeper, you'll realize that the 1977 penny stands at a turning point in U.S. coinage history, has rare errors worth hundreds, and even has some of the finest known examples selling for thousands at auction. Let's begin with the design. On the obverse, we have Victor David Brenner's portrait of Abraham Lincoln, a design that first appeared in 1909 to celebrate Lincoln's 100th birthday. The 1977 issue marked the 68th year of this same portrait being used, making it the longest-running portrait in U.S. coin history at that time. Above Lincoln's head is the motto, "In God We Trust." To the left of his portrait is the word "Liberty," and to the right is the date, 1977. Depending on where the coin was minted, you may also see a small mint mark just below the date. The reverse features Frank Gasparo's famous Lincoln Memorial design, introduced in 1959 for the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Collectors love pointing out the hidden detail here. If you look closely inside the memorial, you'll see a tiny engraving of the seated Lincoln statue, making this one of the only U.S. coins to show the same person on both sides. The words United States of America stretch along the top, with the motto E Pluribus Unum above the memorial and 1 cent boldly at the bottom. Now let's talk about composition. Unlike today's copper-plated zinc pennies, the 1977 Lincoln cent was struck from an alloy of 95% copper and 5% zinc, weighing 3.11 grams. That makes it a true copper penny, and with copper prices rising in recent decades, each coin holds about 2 cents worth of metal value alone, though of course, it's illegal to melt them down. The coin's diameter is 19 millimeters, and it has a plain edge. Mintages in 1977 were enormous. The Philadelphia Mint, which did not use a mint mark at that time, struck over 4.4 billion pennies. The Denver Mint added another 4.1 billion with the D mint mark, and the San Francisco Mint produced over 3.25 million proof coins with the S mint mark for collectors. Combined, that's more than 8.5 billion coins in circulation. With numbers like that, it's easy to see why the 1977 penny is common in worn condition, but the real challenge is finding one in pristine mint state. Let's talk values. A circulated 1977 penny is usually worth just face value, maybe 2 to 5 cents if it's in better condition because of its copper content. But once you move into mint state grades, things get more interesting. An MS-65 red example typically sells for around $10 to $20. In MS-66 red, the value jumps to $50 to $75. At MS-67 red, you're looking at several $100s. And the finest known examples, graded MS-67 Plus red by PCGS or NGC, have sold for more than $2,500 at major auctions. The 1977 D issues follow a similar trend, with the highest grades bringing thousands of dollars as well. Proof coins from San Francisco are also desirable, especially in PR70 Deep Cameo, where perfect examples can bring $200 to $400. But what really excites collectors are the error coins. The 1977 penny is known for several rare and valuable error types. Let's go through some of the most important ones. First, there are off-center strikes, where the design is not properly aligned on the blank planchet. A minor 5% off-center strike might bring $20 to $40, but a dramatic 50% off-center strike, especially if the date is still visible, can sell for $200 or more. Second, there are double die varieties. While not as famous as the 1955 double die, the 1977 double dies do exist. On the obverse, you might see doubling on the word Liberty or the date. On the reverse, doubling can sometimes be seen in 1 cent or E Pluribus Unum. Depending on strength and condition, these double die coins can sell for $50 to $500. Third, broad strikes and off-metal errors add excitement. A broad strike occurs when a coin is struck without the collar that normally shapes its edge, causing it to spread out larger than normal. These can sell for $50 to $100. Off-metal strikes, where a penny is accidentally struck on the wrong planchet, are extremely rare and valuable. A 1977 penny struck on a dime planchet, for example, would be worth several $100s. Another collectible variety is the clipped planchet error. This happens when the blank metal sheet overlaps during cutting and a portion of the coin is missing in a curved shape. Depending on size, these can bring $25 to $150. Die cracks and cuts are also sought after. A cut occurs when a piece of the die breaks off, leaving a raised blob of metal on the coin. The bigger the cut, the more valuable it becomes. Dramatic examples from 1977 can bring $100 to $250. Let's not forget about the proofs. The 1977 S-proof penny is a collector favorite. In lower proof grades, they're worth just a couple of dollars. But in PR69 Deep Cameo, they can bring $30 to $50. The perfect PR70 Deep Cameo coins are rare, and those can bring in $300 or more. Auction records highlight just how much collectors are willing to pay. A 1977 Lincoln penny graded MS67 Plus red by PCGS sold for over $2,600 at heritage auctions. A 1977 D penny in the same grade has sold for more than $2,000. And a 1977 S-proof penny in PR70 Deep Cameo has reached nearly $400. These prices prove that even a seemingly ordinary penny can be a hidden treasure if it's in top condition or has a rare variety. So what should collectors look for in their pocket change or coin rolls? First, bright red color. Coins that retain their original red luster are far more valuable than those that have toned brown. Second, look for sharp details and lack of marks. Even a tiny scratch can drop the grade dramatically. Third, always check for errors like off-center strikes, doubling, or cuts. And finally, if you find a proof coin with the S mint mark, handle it carefully. It could be worth much more than face value. In conclusion, the 1977 Lincoln penny is a coin with massive mintage but hidden gems. While most are only worth face value, rare errors and pristine mint state survivors can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. This coin proves that you don't need to go back to the 1800s to find valuable US cents. Sometimes, treasures are hiding in modern change. The 1968 Lincoln penny may look like just another old cent in your pocket change, but coin collectors know it's a fascinating piece of American history. This coin comes from a transitional period in U.S. coinage, a time when designs were stable, mintages were soaring, and yet rare varieties and errors began to command serious attention. Today, we'll go deep into its story, from design and history to errors, proofs, and the hidden value that can turn a 1-cent coin into a $100 or even $1,000 treasure. Let's start with the design. The obverse of the coin features Victor David Brenner's timeless portrait of Abraham Lincoln, first introduced in 1909. This design was created to honor the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth and remains the longest-running portrait in U.S. coin history. Above Lincoln's head is the motto, "In God We Trust." To the left is the word "Liberty," and to the right is the date, 1968. If you look carefully, you'll also see the mint mark just under the date, which tells us where the coin was made. The reverse displays Frank Gasparo's Lincoln Memorial design, introduced in 1959. At the top, you'll see United States of America, with the motto E Pluribus Unum just below. The words 1 cent stretch boldly across the bottom. But here's a fascinating detail. Inside the memorial itself, if you look closely with a magnifying glass, you can actually see a tiny figure of Abraham Lincoln seated inside. That makes this coin one of the rare cases in world history where the same individual appears on both the obverse and reverse of the same coin. Now let's talk about composition. The 1968 penny was struck from an alloy of 95% copper and 5% zinc, weighing 3.11 grams. This was still part of the classic copper penny era, before the transition in 1982 to copper-plated zinc. Collectors often prefer these solid copper coins because of their heavier feel and durability. At today's copper prices, each 1968 penny contains about 2 cents worth of metal, though it's illegal to melt them down. Mintage is where things get very interesting. In 1968, the U.S. Mint operated in 3 major locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 1 billion pennies, But for the first time in decades, they placed a P mint mark on proof coins only, not on circulation strikes. The Denver Mint produced over 2.8 billion pennies with the D mint mark. The San Francisco Mint made a relatively small number of circulation strikes, about 258 million pennies, all carrying the S mint mark. But the San Francisco Mint also produced a special proof issue, with over 3 million proof pennies, all carrying the S. The introduction of the S proof coinage in 1968 is historically significant. Before this year, all proof coins were struck in Philadelphia, but beginning in 1968, the San Francisco Mint became the sole producer of proofs. That tradition continues to this day, making the 1968 S-proof penny the very first of its kind. Now, let's talk values. Circulated 1968 pennies are typically worth face value, maybe a couple of cents if they're in decent condition. But in uncirculated mint state, the value can climb. A 1968 D penny in MS65 red might sell for $5 to $10, while MS66 red examples bring $40 to $60. MS67 red coins are much scarcer and can sell for $300 to $500. The 1968 S penny in mint state red is even more desirable, especially in the highest grades, where prices can cross $1,000. Proof coins are also valuable. A 1968 S-proof penny in PR69 Deep Cameo might sell for $25 to $50, while a perfect PR70 Deep Cameo can bring $1,000 or more at auction. Now let's move into one of the most exciting areas, errors and varieties. The 1968 penny is known for several that bring serious collector interest. First, we have double dies. The 1968 S double die obverse is the most famous, showing strong doubling on "In God We Trust," Liberty, and the date. These coins are rare and highly prized, often selling for $500 to $1,000 depending on condition. The double die reverse varieties are also known, with doubling visible in the lettering on the back. These can bring anywhere from $50 to several $100s. Next, let's look at off-center strikes. A 1968 penny that is struck off-center by 5% to 10% might be worth $25. Visible date and mint mark can sell for $200 to $400. Another valuable error is the clipped planchet. This is when part of the blank metal sheet overlaps during cutting, leaving a curved section missing from the coin. Depending on size, these can bring $30 to $150. Then there are die breaks and cuts. A cut forms when a piece of the die breaks away, leaving a raised blob of metal on the coin's surface. These dramatic errors are very collectible, with values often reaching $100 to $200. There are also transitional and off-metal errors. A few 1968 pennies are known to have been struck on dime planchets or even foreign coin blanks, making them extremely rare and often worth several $100s. Now let's look at auction highlights. A 1968 S Lincoln penny graded MS67 red sold for over $2,000. A 1968 D and MS67 red sold for $1,500. Proof coins also bring strong prices. A 1968 S-proof penny graded PR70 Deep Cameo has sold for $2,500, making it one of the most valuable coins of the entire Lincoln Memorial Cent series. Double die examples, like the 1968 SDDO, have reached prices well above $1,000 in recent years. What should collectors be watching for? First, always check for the mint mark. 1968 S pennies are scarcer than Denver issues and worth more in high grade. Second, look for red color. Coins with their full original red luster are far more desirable than brown or red-brown examples. Third, check carefully for doubling, especially on 1968 S-proof coins, which are notorious for doubled dies. Finally, keep an eye out for major errors like off-center strikes, clips, and cuts. The 1968 Lincoln penny represents an important shift in U.S. numismatics. It marks the first year that proofs were struck at the San Francisco Mint, the continuation of the copper era, and the expansion of error varieties that still thrill collectors today. While billions were made, the rarest and highest quality examples can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. The 1989 Washington quarter is one of those coins nearly every American has seen or handled at some point, yet it hides stories of history, minting technology, and collector treasures that are often overlooked. At first glance, this may seem like an ordinary 25-cent piece, but in reality, the 1989 quarter marks a fascinating chapter in the Washington quarter series, with certain examples fetching hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Let's start with the design. On the obverse, we see the iconic bust of George Washington, designed by sculptor John Flanagan. This portrait has been in use since 1932, when the Washington quarter was introduced to honor the 200th anniversary of Washington's birth. Above his head appears the motto Liberty. To the left, the phrase "In God We Trust." And just below his neck is the date, 1989. The mint mark, if present, appears just to the right of the ribbon in Washington's hair. On the reverse, we see the heraldic eagle design, also created by John Flanagan. The eagle is perched on a bundle of arrows, symbolizing defense, while olive branches stretch out beneath, representing peace. Arcing around the top are the words United States of America, with the motto E pluribus unum just below. At the bottom is the denomination, $quarter. This eagle reverse design had been used continuously since 1932 and would remain in place until the state quarters program began in 1999. That makes the 1989 issue one of the last classic eagle quarters before a new era of designs reshaped the series. Now let's move to composition. By 1989, quarters were long past the silver era. Instead, these coins were struck from a clad composition. Outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. This gives the coin a total weight of 5.67 grams and a diameter of 24.3 millimeters. While they lack silver content, these clad quarters are still highly collectible in top condition or with dramatic errors. Mintages were very large in 1989, spread across 3 major mints. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 512 million quarters with no mint mark. The Denver Mint struck over 896 million quarters with the D mint mark, and the San Francisco Mint produced about 3.2 million proof coins with the S mint mark, specially struck for collectors. In total, more than 1.4 billion quarters were struck in 1989, which explains why they're still extremely common in circulation today. With numbers that big, most 1989 quarters are only worth their face value of 25 cents. But here's where it gets exciting. In top mint state condition, or when struck with unusual errors, these coins can be worth far more. Let's talk about condition first. Collectors grade coins on the Sheldon scale, ranging from poor, P1, all the way up to mint state 70, MS70. For 1989 quarters, circulated examples in grades like VF, very fine, or XF, extremely fine, are worth only face value. Even in AU, almost uncirculated, they may be worth 50 cents to $1. But in mint state, the values climb. An MS65 example might sell for $10 to $20. In MS66, the price jumps to $50 to $75. MS67 is much scarcer, with prices ranging from $300 to $600. And in MS68, the highest grades known, these coins can sell for $1,000 or more. Auction records show that collectors are willing to pay serious money for flawless modern quarters. Proof coins from San Francisco are also desirable. A 1989 S-proof in PR69 Deep Cameo might sell for $15 to $25, while a perfect PR70 Deep Cameo can bring $200 to $400. These proofs are popular with collectors because of their sharp details and mirror-like finishes. Now let's move into error coins, which are some of the most exciting finds for collectors. One of the most common error types for 1989 quarters is the off-center strike. Minor off-centers of 5% to 10% are worth $25 to $50, while dramatic 50% off-center examples with a visible date and mint mark can bring $250 or more. Next, we have double-struck coins, where the quarter is struck more than once, often at slightly different angles. These are eye-catching and can sell for $100 to $300 depending on severity. Another valuable error is the clipped planchet. These show a curved or straight clip along the edge of the coin, caused when the metal strip overlaps during cutting. Depending on size and visibility, These errors can sell for $30 to $150. Then there are broad strikes, which occur when a coin is struck without the collar that normally shapes its rim. This causes the coin to spread out slightly larger than normal. These errors typically bring $40 to $100. One of the rarest and most valuable error types is the wrong planchet strike. This happens when a quarter design is accidentally struck on a planchet intended for another denomination. For example, a 1989 quarter struck on a nickel planchet would weigh less and be smaller, while one struck on a clad half-dollar planchet would be larger and heavier. These spectacular errors can bring hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction. Die cracks and cuds are also found on some 1989 quarters. A cud is a raised blob of metal caused by a piece of the die breaking off. Large cuds are dramatic and collectible, often selling for $100 or more. Now let's look at auction highlights. A 1989 D quarter graded MS68 by PCGS sold for over $1,000 at auction. A 1989 P in the same grade has sold for nearly $900. Proof examples in PR70 Deep Cameo regularly sell for $300 to $400. And dramatic off-center strikes from this year have brought in $200 to $300. These prices show that even modern clad quarters can be worth serious money in the right condition. Oh, what should collectors look for when searching 1989 quarters? First, pay attention to condition. Coins with full luster, no scratches, and sharp detail are the most valuable. Second, check for errors like off-centers, double strikes, and cuds. Third, if you come across a proof coin with the S mint mark, treat it carefully, as it may be worth far more than face value. The 1989 Washington quarter represents the closing chapter of the Eagle reverse era. Within just 10 years, the state quarters program would revolutionize American coinage. But these 1989 issues remain a reminder of the classic design that circulated for more than half a century. With huge mintages, most are common, but the rarest gems in pristine condition or with dramatic errors continue to thrill collectors. The next time you see a 1989 quarter in your change, take a closer look. It might not just be 25 cents. It could be a piece of numismatic history worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. The 2016 Roosevelt dime is one of the smallest coins in U.S. change, yet it carries an incredible amount of history, symbolism, and collector intrigue. At first glance, a dime may not seem like much, just 10 cents. But the 2016 issue, like all Roosevelt dimes, links us back to America's history of leadership, public health, and post-war coinage reform. And while billions of these coins were made, a small fraction hold surprising value, especially in pristine condition or with rare minting errors. Today, let's explore everything you need to know about the 2016 Roosevelt dime, from its design origins to the market prices that can make a 10-cent coin worth far more. Let's begin with the design. On the obverse, we see the profile of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States. The design was created by Chief Engraver John R. Sinek and introduced in 1946, 1 year after Roosevelt's passing. It was chosen to honor his leadership during the Great Depression and World War II, and also to recognize his work in establishing the March of Dimes Foundation to combat polio. Above Roosevelt's portrait is the word liberty. To the left is the motto, "In God We Trust," and below the neck is the date, 2016. A mint mark may also be present, located to the right of the date, just above Roosevelt's shoulder. The reverse features a bold design of 3 elements: a torch in the center, symbolizing liberty, an olive branch to the left, representing peace, and an oak branch to the right, symbolizing strength and independence. Around the rim are the inscriptions United States of America and 1 dime, with the motto E Pluribus Unum across the center. This design has remained unchanged since 1946, making it one of the longest-running reverse designs in U.S. coinage history. Now let's look at composition. The 2016 dime, like all modern Roosevelt dimes since 1965, was struck in a copper-nickel clad composition. That means it consists of outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. The total weight is 2.27 grams. The diameter is 17.9 millimeters, and the edge is reeded with 118 tiny grooves. While it may lack silver content, This modern clad composition makes the coin durable for everyday use. However, collectors still treasure these coins in pristine mint state or proof condition. Mintages in 2016 were very high. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 1.54 billion dimes with the P mint mark. The Denver Mint produced about 1.45 billion dimes with the D mint mark. And the San Francisco Mint created both proof and silver proof issues. The 2016 S-clad proof dime had a mintage of around 599,000 pieces, while the 2016 S silver proof dime, struck in 90% silver, had a similar mintage of about 585,000 coins. These silver proofs were included in special proof sets, making them highly collectible. Altogether, more than 3 billion Roosevelt dimes were struck in 2016, one of the highest annual totals for the series. What are these coins worth? In circulated condition, a 2016 dime is worth only face value, 10 cents. But in uncirculated mint state, the value rises. A 2016 P or 2016 D dime in MS65 might sell for $2 to $3. At MS67, values climb to $25 to $40. In the elusive grade of MS68, these coins can bring $150 to $300. And the finest known examples in MS69 have sold for $500 or more at auction. Proof coins are also valuable. A 2016 S-clad proof in PR69 Deep Cameo might sell for $5 to $10, while a perfect PR70 Deep Cameo can bring $50 to $75. The 2016 S silver proof dimes are even more desirable. In PR70 Deep Cameo, these coins often sell for $75 to $100, and some examples have reached $150 or higher. But what really excites collectors are error coins. And 2016 Roosevelt dimes have their share of dramatic minting mistakes. One of the most common and collectible errors is the off-center strike. A dime struck off-center by 5% might bring $20 to $30, but a dramatic 50% off-center strike with a full date visible can sell for $200 or more. Another important error is the doubled die variety. While not as famous as the 1969 S or 1972 doubled die cents, double dies on 2016 dimes do exist. Collectors have reported doubling on the motto, "In God We Trust," and on the torch details of the reverse. Depending on strength and grade, these coins can bring $50 to $200. Clip planchets are another dramatic error. A 2016 dime with a curved clip along the rim might sell for $30 to $100. Larger or multiple clips can bring $200 or more. Broad strikes and misaligned dies also appear. A broad-struck 2016 dime without a collar, expanding beyond its normal rim, might be worth $50 to $150. A misaligned die strike, where one side is off-center while the other remains centered, could bring $25 to $75. That the most valuable errors are wrong planchet strikes. These occur when a dime design is accidentally struck on a blank intended for another denomination. A 2016 dime struck on a cent planchet, weighing only 2.5 grams, could be worth $300 to $500. Even more dramatic are dimes struck on foreign coin planchets, which have sold for over $1,000. Auction results prove the potential value of these coins. A 2016 D dime graded MS69 by PCGS sold for $646 at Heritage Auctions. A 2016 S silver proof dime in PR70 Deep Cameo sold for $150. Dramatic off-center error dimes from 2016 have sold for $200 to $300. These results show that even a modern 10-cent piece can be a treasure in the right condition. What should collectors watch for? First, condition is everything. Coins with sharp strikes, full luster, and no contact marks are the most desirable. Second, check for special finishes. Proof coins and silver proof coins are worth significantly more than circulation strikes. Third, inspect your coins carefully for errors, especially off-center strikes, doubled dies, and clips. Even small errors can transform a 10-cent coin into a $50 or $100 collectible. The 2016 Roosevelt dime may not be rare in terms of overall mintage, but it represents the enduring legacy of one of America's most important presidents. It continues a design that has now lasted for more than 75 years, linking modern coinage back to the mid-20th century. And it shows us that even in an age of mass production, perfection and rarity still command serious premiums. In conclusion, the 2016 Roosevelt dime is far more than a small piece of change. It's a coin with history, symbolism, and the potential for hidden value. Whether in pristine mint state, flawless proof, or struck with a rare error, these coins remind us that treasure can be found in the smallest denominations. The 1985 Lincoln penny might seem like an ordinary coin you find in your pocket, but when you look deeper, you realize it has hidden stories, unique varieties, and collector interests that make it far more than just a single cent. Today, we're going to dive deep into the fascinating history of the 1985 Lincoln cent, a coin that bridges America's economic and numismatic history while still holding valuable surprises for collectors. Let's begin with the design. The obverse, or front, features the profile of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. This portrait was designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909 to honor Lincoln's 100th birthday, and it has been a fixture on the penny for more than a century. To the left of Lincoln, we see the word liberty. To the right is the motto, "In God We Trust," and beneath Lincoln's bust is the date, 1985, along with a mint mark if applicable. On the reverse side, the 1985 penny features the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. This design was created by engraver Frank Gasparo and introduced in 1959, replacing the earlier wheat ears reverse. If you look closely, you can actually see a tiny statue of Lincoln seated inside the memorial, making this coin the only circulating U.S. coin to feature the same person on both sides. Above the memorial are the words United States of America, and just above the memorial itself is the national motto E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one. At the bottom is the denomination, 1 cent. Now let's discuss composition. By 1985, the U.S. Mint had already shifted away from the traditional bronze pennies that contained 95% copper. Beginning in mid-1982, the Mint transitioned to a new copper-plated zinc composition. This meant that the 1985 penny was struck on planchets composed of 97.5% zinc with a thin outer coating of 2.5% copper. The coin weighs 2.5 grams, measures 19 millimeters in diameter, and has a plain edge. This change was made to save the government money, as the cost of copper had risen dramatically by the early 1980s. And next, let's examine mintages. The year 1985 saw a very large penny production, though it was a non-proof year, meaning the San Francisco Mint did not strike any pennies. Instead, production was limited to Philadelphia and Denver. The Philadelphia Mint, which did not use a mint mark, struck over 5.6 billion pennies in 1985. Meanwhile, the Denver Mint, using the D mint mark, struck about 5.3 billion pennies. Altogether, more than 10.9 billion pennies were produced in 1985, making it one of the higher mintage years of the Lincoln Memorial Series. With such large numbers, you might wonder, can a 1985 penny really be valuable? The answer is yes, but it depends on condition, varieties, and errors. In circulated condition, most 1985 pennies are worth only their face value, 1 cent. However, in mint state grades, values increase significantly. A 1985 Lincoln cent from Philadelphia in MS65 red condition is worth around $5. At MS67 red, it jumps to $150 or more. At the elusive grade of MS68 red, a Philadelphia 1985 cent has sold at auction for $3,000 to $4,000. The Denver issues are very similar in value. A 1985 D penny in MS65 red might bring $5 to $10, but in MS67 red, values rise to $200, and the few coins certified in MS68 red have sold for over $4,000. But that's not the end of the story. The 1985 penny is known for some interesting varieties and errors. One of the most popular varieties is the 1985 double die obverse. Some examples show doubling in the motto, "In God We Trust," in the date, or on Lincoln's eye and ear details. Strong double die examples can sell for $50 to $200 depending on grade. Another collectible variety is the repunched mint mark on 1985 D cents. Before the mid-1990s, mint marks were hand-punched into working dies, meaning slight misplacements or repunchings occurred. A clear RPM variety from 1985 D can bring $25 to $75 in uncirculated condition. Of course, error coins are among the most dramatic finds. Off-center strikes are very popular. A 1985 penny struck 5% off-center might be worth $20 to $30, but a dramatic 50% off-center with a full date visible can bring $200 or more. Clip planchets are another collectible error. A crescent-shaped clip along the rim can raise values to $50 to $100. Even more valuable are wrong planchet errors. Occasionally, 1985 pennies were struck on foreign coin blanks or leftover planchets from other U.S. denominations. A 1985 penny struck on a dime planchet, weighing only 2.3 grams, could be worth $400 to $800. Strikes on cent planchets missing the copper layer, revealing the zinc core, are also collectible, often worth $100 to $250. Auction records tell us just how high these coins can go. In 2019, a 1985 Lincoln cent graded MS-68 red by PCGS sold for $4,320. Another 1985 D in the same grade sold for $3,840. Even coins in slightly lower grades, MS-67 plus red, frequently sell for $300 to $500. These results prove that condition is king, even for such a common date. Oh, how do you know if you have a valuable 1985 penny? Start by checking the mint mark. A coin from Philadelphia has no mint mark, while a Denver coin has a small D beneath the date. Next, examine the coin's condition. Look for sharp details, full luster, and no contact marks. Coins that have been protected in rolls or mint sets often have the best chance of grading high. Finally, examine your coin under magnification to look for errors like doubling, repunched mint marks, or off-center strikes. The 1985 penny may be common in raw numbers, but it's part of a larger story. It represents the early years of the copper-plated zinc era, when the mint was adapting to economic realities and experimenting with new compositions. It carries forward the century-old design honoring Abraham Lincoln, America's most revered president. And it provides opportunities for collectors to find treasures in high grade or with unusual varieties. In conclusion, the 1985 Lincoln penny reminds us that even the most ordinary-looking coins can hold extraordinary stories. From billion coin mintages to rare MS-68 survivors, from simple circulation strikes to dramatic mint errors, this little cent has earned its place in the world of coin collecting. And while it may not buy much in today's economy, its historical and collectible value can far exceed its face value, making it a true hidden treasure in the world of modern U.S. coinage. The 2004 P. Roosevelt dime is one of those coins that billions of Americans carried in their pockets without ever stopping to think about it. Yet, when we look closely, the 2004 dime tells a deeper story of American coinage, about tradition, design longevity, minting technology, and the possibility of hidden treasures even in modern circulation. Today, we'll break down this coin in detail, exploring its history, design features, production, and how some 2004 dimes are worth far more than just 10 cents. Let's begin with the design. The obverse of the 2004 dime features Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States. This portrait was introduced in 1946, just 1 year after his death, as a way of honoring his leadership during the Great Depression and World War II, as well as his role in supporting the March of Dimes campaign to fight polio. The portrait was created by John R. Sinek, the chief engraver of the U.S. Mint at the time. On the obverse, above Roosevelt's head, we see the word liberty. To the left of his neck is the motto, "In God We Trust," while the date 2004 appears below. To the right of the date is the mint mark, in this case, a P for Philadelphia. Roosevelt's portrait faces left, with his gaze focused forward, and beneath the date are the designer's initials, JS. The reverse design, also unchanged since 1946, is both simple and powerful. At the center is a torch, symbolizing liberty. To the left of the torch is an olive branch, representing peace, and to the right is an oak branch, symbolizing strength and independence. Encircling the design are the inscriptions United States of America and one dime. Across the lower portion, between the branches, is the motto E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one. The reverse was also created by John R. Cynic and has remained one of the most consistent coin designs in U.S. history. Now, let's discuss composition. Like all Roosevelt dimes minted since 1965, the 2004 dime was struck in a copper-nickel-clad composition. This means the coin has outer layers made of 75% copper and 25% nickel, bonded to a pure copper core. The result is a durable, silvery-colored coin weighing 2.27 grams, measuring 17.9 millimeters in diameter, and with a reeded edge of 118 tiny ridges. While it lacks the silver content of earlier dimes minted before 1965, it still holds collectible value in high grades and special varieties. The mintages of the 2004 dime are substantial. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 843 million dimes in 2004, each marked with the P Mint mark. Meanwhile, the Denver Mint struck about 809 million dimes with the D Mint mark. Together, that's more than 1.6 billion dimes, a staggering number, showing just how common these coins were in circulation. Additionally, the San Francisco Mint produced special proof coins, both in copper-nickel clad and in 90% silver. The 2004 S-clad proof had a mintage of about 2.9 million, while the 2004 S silver proof had a mintage of around 1.7 million, making them far scarcer and more valuable. Now, let's move to collector value. In circulated condition, a 2004 P dime is generally worth only face value, 10 cents. But in uncirculated grades, the value increases significantly. A 2004 P dime in MS65 is worth around $3. In MS67, values rise to $25 or $40. At the ultra-high grade of MS68, the coin can sell for $250 to $400, and the few examples certified at MS69 have fetched more than $1,000 at auction. For proof issues, values are even stronger. A 2004 S-clad proof dime in PR69 Deep Cameo might be worth $5 to $10, while in PR70 Deep Cameo, it can sell for $30 to $50. The silver proofs are more valuable still. A 2004 S silver proof dime in PR70 Deep Cameo often sells for $75 to $150, depending on market demand. Now let's talk about varieties and errors. The area where even a modern dime like this can become incredibly valuable. One of the most collectible error types for 2004 dimes is the off-center strike. If a dime is struck even 10% off-center, it might sell for $50. A dramatic 50% off-center strike with a visible date can be worth $200 or more. Another significant error is the broad strike. This occurs when a coin is struck without a collar, causing it to expand beyond its normal rim. A broad-struck 2004 dime can sell for $75 to $150, depending on grade. Clip planchets are another collectible error. A coin missing a portion of its metal along the edge might be worth $30 to $100, with larger or multiple clips bringing $200 or more. Wrong planchet errors are among the most dramatic. Imagine finding a 2004 dime struck on a cent planchet, weighing only 2.5 grams. Such a coin could bring $500 to $1,000. Even more unusual are foreign planchet errors, where a dime was struck on a blank intended for a foreign coin. These errors have sold for thousands of dollars at auction. Repunched mint marks, RPMs, are also known on some Denver Mint dimes. Before the mid-1990s, mint marks were punched into dies by hand, so slight misplacements or repunchings can be seen under magnification. A strong RPM on a 2004 D dime could bring $50 to $100. Auction records show just how high the best 2004 dimes can go. A 2004 P dime graded MS69 by PCGS sold for $1,293. A 2004 S silver proof dime in PR70 Deep Cameo sold for $175. Off-center 2004 dimes have brought $200 or more, and dramatic clips or wrong planchet errors have sold for over $1,000. These results prove that even in the modern era, When billions of coins are minted, rarity and condition still matter. For collectors, the key to finding valuable 2004 dimes is condition and attention to detail. Most coins found in circulation are worn, but uncirculated examples can still be found in original bank rolls or mint sets. Always look closely at mint marks for RPMs and examine both sides of the coin under magnification for signs of doubling or unusual striking errors. The 2004 P. Roosevelt dime may not carry silver like the pre-1965 dimes, but it still represents the enduring legacy of one of America's greatest leaders. It shows how a design introduced in 1946 continues to circulate nearly 60 years later with minimal changes. And it proves that even a 10-cent piece struck in the billions can contain valuable surprises for those who take the time to look. In conclusion, the 2004 P dime is more than pocket change. It's a coin that honors Roosevelt's contributions to the nation, reflects the mint's production strength, and still offers collectors opportunities to discover treasures in high grade or with rare mint errors. Whether worth 10 cents or $1,000, the 2004 dime deserves a place in the story of modern American coinage. The 2014 Lincoln penny is a small copper-plated coin that most people pass by without a second glance. Yet, within its details lies more than a century of history, the legacy of Abraham Lincoln, and the evolution of modern coinage in America. While billions were made, collectors know that a small fraction of these coins, in pristine condition or struck with errors, can be worth far more than a single cent. Today, let's dive deep into the story of the 2014 Lincoln cent. Let's start with the design. The obverse features the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. This design was created by Victor David Brenner in 1909 to honor Lincoln's 100th birthday, and it has been a cornerstone of American coinage for over a century. The inscriptions include "In God We Trust" along the top rim, "Liberty" to the left of Lincoln's profile, and the date 2014 to the right, often accompanied by a mint mark. The mint mark may be P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, or S for San Francisco proof issues. The reverse design, introduced in 2010, is known as the Union Shield reverse. This design replaced the Lincoln Memorial reverse that had been used from 1959 to 2008. The Union Shield design symbolizes Lincoln's role in preserving the United States as one nation during the Civil War. At the center is a shield with 13 vertical stripes representing the original states, joined together under a single horizontal bar. Across the bar is the inscription "E pluribus unum," meaning "out of many, one." Across the bottom of the shield is a scroll with the denomination 1 cent, while United States of America curves along the top rim. This bold design by Lyndall Bass, engraved by Joseph Minna, has become a modern classic. Now, let's talk about composition. By 2014, the penny had long been struck in copper-plated zinc. Since 1982, the mint has produced cents with a core of 97.5% zinc and a plating of 2.5% copper. This gives the coin its traditional copper color but reduces cost compared to solid bronze cents of earlier decades. The coin weighs 2.5 grams, has a diameter of 19 millimeters, and features a plain edge. Mintages for the 2014 Lincoln cent are massive, reflecting the ongoing demand for pennies in circulation. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 3.5 billion pennies, while the Denver Mint produced more than 4.1 billion. Together, circulation strikes for 2014 exceeded 7.6 billion coins. Meanwhile, the San Francisco Mint produced both clad-proof and silver-proof sets. Proof pennies from 2014 had mintages of around 750,000 pieces, making them far scarcer and more collectible than circulation strikes. But what about values? In circulated condition, a 2014 penny is worth just 1 cent. However, in high grades and special finishes, values increase significantly. A 2014 P or 2014 D penny in MS65 red condition is worth about $5. At MS67 red, values rise to $50 to $80. And at the elusive grade of MS68 red, these coins can bring $400 to $800. Proof coins are even more valuable. A 2014 S-proof cent in PR69 Deep Cameo is worth $10 to $15, while a perfect PR70 Deep Cameo can sell for $50 to $100. Even more exciting are the errors and varieties. One of the most collectible is the double die obverse. On some 2014 cents, collectors have found doubling in the motto, "I in God we trust," in the date, or in Lincoln's eye and ear, depending on strength and grade. These coins can sell for $50 to $200. Another important error is the off-center strike. A penny struck off-center by 10% might be worth $25, but a dramatic 50% off-center with the full date visible can bring $150 to $300. Clip planchets are also collectible. A coin missing a crescent-shaped portion along the rim can be worth $30 to $100. Broad strikes, struck without a collar, expand beyond their normal rim and can bring $50 to $150. But the most valuable errors are wrong planchet strikes. A 2014 cent accidentally struck on a dime planchet, appearing smaller and thinner, could sell for $400 to $600. Pennies struck on foreign blanks can sell for over $1,000. Auction records show the potential value of these coins. A 2014 D. Lincoln cent graded MS68 red by PCGS sold for $799 in 2020. Another example, a 2014 S-proof cent in PR70 Deep Cameo sold for $95. Dramatic off-center errors from 2014 have sold for $200, while wrong planchet errors have reached $1,200 or more. So, how can collectors find valuable 2014 pennies? First, focus on condition. Search through bank rolls, mint sets, or proof sets for pristine coins with full red luster. Second, use magnification to check for varieties like double dies or repunched mint marks. Third, learn to recognize errors like off-centers or clips, which are often missed by casual observers. The 2014 Lincoln penny may seem modern and common, but it's part of a legacy stretching back to 1909. It continues to honor Abraham Lincoln while showcasing a reverse design that symbolizes unity and strength. It also demonstrates how even in the 21st century, when billions of coins are produced, rarity and condition still play a powerful role in numismatics. In conclusion, the 2014 penny is more than just a cent. It's a coin with history, symbolism, and the potential for hidden value. Whether you find one in circulation, purchase a proof set, or discover an error, the 2014 Lincoln cent shows that even the smallest coins can hold big surprises. The 2007 P. Roosevelt dime is one of those coins we see every day and rarely notice. Yet it's a piece of American history that carries decades of tradition, a beloved design, and for collectors, hidden treasures in the form of rare errors and high-grade examples. While most are worth only 10 cents, some 2007 dimes can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Today, let's take a detailed journey into the story of the 2007 P dime that we begin with the design. The obverse of the dime features President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States. This design was first introduced in 1946, shortly after Roosevelt's death, to honor his leadership during the Great Depression and World War II. Roosevelt was also remembered for his role in supporting the March of Dimes campaign, which helped combat polio. The portrait was created by Chief Engraver John R. Sinek. On the obverse, above Roosevelt's head, is the word liberty. To the left of his neck is the motto, "I in God we trust," and at the lower right is the date, 2007, followed by the mint mark. In this case, a P for Philadelphia. Beneath the date are Sinek's initials, JS, honoring the original designer. The reverse of the dime carries a simple but elegant design. At the center stands a torch, symbolizing liberty. On either side are branches, an olive branch to the left for peace, and an oak branch to the right for strength and independence. Around the design are the inscriptions United States of America and one dime, with the national motto E Pluribus Unum stretching across the base of the torch. This combination of peace, liberty, and strength has remained unchanged on the dime for over 75 years, making it one of the longest-lasting coin designs in U.S. history. Now let's look at composition. Like all circulating dimes since 1965, the 2007 dime is made of copper-nickel clad. The outer layers are 75% copper and 25% nickel, bonded to a pure copper core. The coin weighs 2.27 grams, measures 17.9 millimeters in diameter, and features a reeded edge with 118 tiny ridges. This durable design ensures the coin can survive decades of circulation while retaining its detail. Next, mintages. In 2007, the Philadelphia Mint produced over 1.05 billion dimes, each with the P Mint mark. The Denver Mint added another 5 billion dimes, while the San Francisco Mint struck about 2 million clad-proof dimes and 1.3 million silver-proof dimes for collectors. With such massive production, the 2007 P dime is far from rare in circulation. Yet, as we'll see, a 2007 P dime in MS65 condition is worth about $3. In MS67, values rise to $25 to $50. At the top grade of MS68, these coins can bring $300 to $600. Proof dimes from 2007 are more valuable. A 2007 S-clad proof in PR70 deep cameo sells for $30 to $50, while a silver proof dime from 2007 in PR70 can bring $75 to $125. Now, let's get into the really exciting part. Errors and varieties. One of the most collectible errors on 2007 dimes is the off-center strike. A dime struck 10% off-center may be worth $50, while a dramatic 50% off-center strike with a full date visible can sell for $200 to $300. Broad strike errors are also popular. A dime struck outside of its collar, expanding beyond the normal rim, can bring $75 to $150. Another category is clipped planchets, where a small portion of the blank metal was missing before striking. These coins, often with crescent-shaped cuts, sell for $30 to $100 depending on size. Wrong planchet errors are among the most valuable. For example, a 2007 dime struck on a penny planchet, weighing only 2.5 grams and appearing copper-colored, could be worth $400 to $700. An even rarer error is a dime struck on a foreign coin blank, which can sell for over $1,000 at auction. Some 2007 dimes also show signs of die clashes, where design elements from the reverse are faintly visible on the obverse due to die striking without a planchet in between. Collectors love these unusual errors, often paying $50 to $150 depending on clarity. Auction records prove the potential of this coin. A 2007 P dime graded MS68 by PCGS sold for $431 in 2020. Another example of a 2007 S silver proof dime in PR70 deep cameo sold for $149. Off-center and broad strike errors from this year have sold for $200 to $300, while wrong planchet errors have pushed values into the four-figure range. For collectors, the 2007 dime represents both opportunity and challenge. On one hand, billions were minted, so finding one in circulation isn't rare. On the other hand, the best condition survivors are scarce and command serious premiums. Proofs and silver proofs are easier to find through mint sets, but perfect 70-grade coins are limited to what should you look for? First, examine your 2007 P dimes for pristine surfaces, bright luster, and sharp details. Coins stored in rolls or mint sets have the best chance of being high grade. Second, use a magnifying glass to check for doubling in the motto or repunched mint marks, as these small details can make a coin far more valuable. Finally, keep an eye out for dramatic striking errors, the kind of mistakes that escape quality control and become collector treasures. The 2007 dime, though modern and common at first glance, is a link to Roosevelt's legacy and the March of Dimes, a campaign that changed lives. It also reflects the mint's ability to produce billions of coins annually with incredible consistency. And yet, as with all coins, a small percentage stand out through condition, rarity, or error, and become the prized finds that every collector hopes to discover. In conclusion, the 2007 P. Roosevelt dime is more than a piece of pocket change. It is a continuation of a design born in 1946, a tribute to a president who guided the nation through difficult times, and a coin that still holds hidden treasures for collectors today. Whether it's a flawless MS68 survivor, a silver proof in PR70, or a dramatic mint error, The 2007 dime reminds us that every coin has a story, and sometimes that story is worth far more than its face value. The 2006 Lincoln penny is one of those coins that seems ordinary at first glance, yet beneath its small copper-plated surface lies more than a century of history, symbolism, and collecting potential. Billions were struck, but only a fraction hold hidden value due to condition, errors, or proof quality. Today, we're going to uncover everything about the 2006 Lincoln cent, from its legacy to its rarest and most valuable examples. Let's begin with the design. On the obverse is the familiar bust of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, a design by Victor David Brenner that first appeared in 1909. This marked the first time a real historical figure was placed on a U.S. coin. On the 2006 penny, Lincoln still gazes forward with detail in his hair, coat, and bow tie. The inscriptions around him are "I in God we trust" at the top, "Liberty" to the left, and the date 2006 to the right, followed by a mint mark. The mint mark can be P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, or S for San Francisco proofs. The reverse is the Lincoln Memorial design, created by Frank Gasparo and introduced in 1959 to honor the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The memorial is detailed enough that, with magnification, you can see a tiny statue of Lincoln inside between the columns. Around the design, we see United States of America across the top, E pluribus unum just above the memorial, and 1 cent boldly across the bottom. This design was used from 1959 through 2008, making the 2006 penny one of the later issues in the Memorial Cent series. Composition-wise, the 2006 penny is struck on a planchet made of 97.5% zinc with 2.5% copper plating. This gives it a copper-red appearance, but makes it lighter and cheaper to produce compared to the earlier bronze cents that were used until 1982. The coin weighs 2.5 grams, has a diameter of 19 millimeters, and carries a plain edge. Now let's explore mintages. In 2006, the U.S. Mint struck massive numbers of Lincoln cents. Philadelphia produced more than 4.29 billion pennies, while Denver contributed over 4.22 billion. Combined, that's more than 8.5 billion 2006 pennies struck for circulation. In addition, the San Francisco Mint produced about 2 million proof pennies for collector sets. With such high mintages, the coin is common in everyday use. But as always in numismatics, rarity comes from condition and errors to So what are these coins worth? In circulated condition, a 2006 penny is worth face value, 1 cent. However, in mint condition, values increase. A 2006 P or 2006 D Lincoln penny graded MS65 red sells for about $5. In MS67 red, values rise to $35 to $60. At the elusive grade of MS68 red, coins can bring $200 to $450, depending on demand. Proof coins from 2006 also have strong value. A 2006 S proof in PR69 Deep Cameo is worth $8 to $12, while a perfect PR70 Deep Cameo can fetch $40 to $75. But the real treasure lies in errors and varieties. One of the most desirable is the doubled die obverse, where doubling may appear in the date, the motto "I in God we trust," or in Lincoln's profile. These varieties, though not common, can sell for $50 to $200 depending on clarity and condition. Off-center strikes are another sought-after error. A penny struck 10% off-center might bring $25, while one struck 50% off-center with a visible date can sell for $150 to $300. Clipped planchets are also collectible. A 2006 penny with a crescent-shaped clip along the rim could be worth $30 to $100. Broad strikes, where the coin expands outside its collar and appears stretched, are worth $40 to $120. Even more dramatic are wrong planchet errors. A 2006 cent struck on a dime or nickel planchet can bring $400 to $700. If struck on a foreign blank, values can soar past $1,000. Some collectors also seek die breaks or cuts, where part of the die has broken away, leaving raised blobs of metal on the coin's surface. These small minting flaws can increase a coin's value to $50 to $150 depending on size. Auction records highlight the potential. A 2006 D. Lincoln Cent graded MS68 red by PCGS sold for $402 in 2019. A 2006 S-Proof Cent in PR70 Deep Cameo sold for $68. Dramatic off-center errors and wrong planchet examples have reached $600 to $1,200 at auction. What should collectors look for? First, examine 2006 pennies for brilliant red luster and clean surfaces. Coins stored in mint sets or rolls have the best chance of being high grade. Second, check carefully for errors. Off-centers, clips, or double dies are often overlooked by casual collectors. Third, remember that proof coins, especially PR70 Deep Cameo examples, remain among the most desirable modern pennies. The 2006 Lincoln penny represents the end of an era. Just a few years later, in 2009, the Lincoln Cent would undergo a complete redesign with 4 different reverses celebrating Lincoln's bicentennial, followed by the permanent Union Shield reverse in 2010. This means the 2006 penny is one of the final issues in the long-running Memorial Cent series. In conclusion, while billions were minted, the 2006 Lincoln penny offers collectors plenty of opportunities. From flawless mint state survivors to dramatic mint errors and high-grade proofs, this small copper-colored coin proves that even the most ordinary change in your pocket can hold extraordinary value. For collectors, it's not just about what the coin is worth. It's about the story it tells and the history it carries. The 1991 S. Lincoln penny is not just another cent. Unlike the billions of pennies that circulated in the early 1990s, the 1991 S was struck specifically for collectors as a proof coin, with brilliant mirrored surfaces and frosted devices. While most pennies from this era are found in pocket change, the 1991 S was made only for proof sets, giving it a special place in the world of modern numismatics. Let's begin with the design. On the obverse, we see the classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, first introduced in 1909 by Victor David Brenner. This design has become the longest-running motif in U.S. coinage history, staying on the penny for over a century. The inscriptions include "In God We Trust" above Lincoln's head, "Liberty" to the left, and the date 1991 to the right. Below the date sits the mint mark S, indicating that it was struck at the San Francisco Mint. The reverse features the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo in 1959. This was introduced to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. On proof coins like the 1991 S, the memorial is sharply detailed, and with magnification, you can even see a tiny seated Lincoln statue inside. Around the memorial are the inscriptions "United States of America," the motto "E Pluribus Unum," and the denomination 1 cent. Now let's talk about composition. Like other modern pennies, the 1991 S is made of copper-plated zinc, 97.5% zinc with 2.5% copper. This gives it a copper-colored surface, but makes it much lighter than the bronze penny struck before 1982. The coin weighs 2.5 grams, has a diameter of 19 millimeters, and a plain edge. What makes this coin special is not its composition, but its finish. The 1991 S. Lincoln Cent is a proof coin, meaning it was struck multiple times with polished dies on specially prepared planchets. This process creates sharp details and mirror-like fields, with frosted lettering and portrait features. Proof coins are made for collectors, not circulation, and they were only available in U.S. mint proof sets. Now let's examine mintages. In 1991, the San Francisco Mint struck about 2.8 million proof sets, each containing a 1991 S penny. That means the mintage of the 1991 S-Proof Lincoln Cent is just under 2.8 million coins. While that may sound like a lot, it is very small compared to the billions of 1991 P and 1991 D circulation pennies. As a result, the 1991 S-Proof is considered relatively scarce compared to its circulating cousins. So, what is the value of this coin? In lower proof grades like PR65, the 1991 S penny is worth around $3 to $5. In PR69 Deep Cameo, the most commonly collected grade, values rise to $10 to $15. The most desirable examples are graded PR70 Deep Cameo, the highest grade possible, with perfect surfaces and flawless mirrors. These coins can bring $50 to $100 depending on demand. Now, let's discuss varieties and errors. Proof coins are carefully made, so errors are much less common than in circulation strikes. However, there are some known varieties among 1991 S-proof coins. The most famous is the No S mint mark variety. On rare occasions in earlier years, San Francisco proof coins were struck without the S mint mark due to a minting oversight. These No S coins are extremely rare and valuable. For example, the 1990 S No S Lincoln cent can sell for thousands of dollars. Unfortunately, no confirmed 1991 S No S pennies have been recorded, but collectors keep an eye out just in case. Another collectible aspect is cameo contrast. Proof coins are graded not only on condition, but also on how strong the frosted devices contrast with the mirrored fields. A coin with full, deep cameo contrast commands a premium, while one with only light cameo contrast is less desirable. Auction records show how much collectors value these coins. A 1991 S Lincoln penny graded PR70 deep cameo has sold for $95 in recent years. Proof sets containing this coin in pristine condition often sell for $12 to $15, but sets certified with all coins in PR70 can bring hundreds. So, how do collectors find the best 1991 S-proof pennies? First, many look for unopened or carefully preserved 1991 proof sets. Over time, coins can tone or haze inside their holders, so pristine coins with bright mirrors and frosty contrast are harder to find. Second, collectors send these coins to grading services like PCGS or NGC to identify PR70 deep cameo examples, which are scarce and highly prized. Historically, the 1991 S penny also represents a time of stability in U.S. coinage. The Lincoln Memorial reverse had been in use for over 30 years by this time, and the mint was striking billions of cents annually. Proof issues like the 1991 S provided collectors with a higher quality product, showcasing the mint's technical skill and craftsmanship. In conclusion, the 1991 S Lincoln penny may seem modern, but it holds a unique place in numismatic history. It is a proof-only coin with low mintage compared to regular circulation issues, and it offers collectors the chance to own a flawless, mirror-like example of a design that defined the cent for half a century. Whether found in an original proof set or certified as a PR70 deep cameo, the 1991 S penny is a shining reminder that even in an age of mass production, the mint continued to create coins that were as much works of art as they were currency. The 2001 D Lincoln penny may seem like just another coin from your pocket change, but as with so many modern cents, there is far more than meets the eye. This coin represents the long-running Lincoln Memorial cent series, struck in massive numbers, yet still hiding special treasures for collectors. Whether it's pristine mint state survivors, dramatic mint errors, or coins with the highest possible grades, the 2001 D penny carries both history and value. Let's begin with the design. On the obverse, we see the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909. This design has been in use longer than any other in U.S. coinage, making it iconic. Lincoln's profile faces right, with careful detail in his hair, cheek, and clothing. The inscriptions include "In God We Trust" across the top, "Liberty" to the left, and the date 2001 to the right. Just beneath the date is the mint mark, D, signifying the Denver Mint. The reverse displays the Lincoln Memorial, created by Frank Gasparo in 1959. This design was introduced to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. On well-struck examples, you can actually see a tiny statue of Lincoln seated inside the memorial, a small but impressive detail. Surrounding the design are the words United States of America, the motto E Pluribus Unum, and the denomination 1 cent at the bottom. Composition-wise, the 2001 D penny follows the modern standard adopted in 1982, a core of 97.5% zinc-coated with 2.5% copper plating. This makes the coin appear like the traditional bronze pennies, but at a fraction of the cost. The coin weighs 2.5 grams, measures 19 millimeters in diameter, and has a plain edge. Now let's talk about mintage. The year 2001 saw truly massive production numbers. The Denver Mint struck over 5.3 billion Lincoln cents with the D Mint mark. Philadelphia added nearly 4.9 billion, meaning over 10 billion Lincoln pennies were produced in that year alone. This makes the 2001 D cent extremely common in circulation, but as always, rarity comes into play with high grades and errors. So, what are they worth? In circulated condition, the 2001 D penny is worth face value, 1 cent. In uncirculated condition, values climb. A 2001 D penny in MS65 red sells for $5 to $8. In MS67 red, values rise to $25 to $40. At the very top, in MS68 red, coins can bring $200 to $500, depending on eye appeal and demand. The key here is the grade red. Pennies are often classified as red, red-brown, or brown, with full red coins being the most valuable due to their fresh, original luster. Now let's dive into errors and varieties. Off-center strikes are among the most collectible. A 2001 D penny struck 10% off-center might be worth $25, while one struck 50% off-center with a visible date